Renekton the Elise could be a draft here for G2. Elise definitely should come through in my opinion.
Rumble is also something Expect can lock in. Something he's played in the past. Ooh, throwback. This is his playoff. Playoff GP is always good for Expect.
Is it Lee Sin time then, Broxah? There needs to be a change.
It has to be.
They need him to be able to gank so effectively early game. And if they still value the Shen over the Elise, that was a pick where Trick fell behind.
Yeah.
But then managed to bounce back. Due to the lane swap, of course. I mean, yeah, there it is. I think this explains why the Shen first pick happens.
I would like Lee Sin Ezreal here. Ooh, find Kayle. It was never banned out. There's no reason to pick it this early. Like, that's a surprise.
Kayle's early
What do you
laning
run
phase.
into this? What do you run into Kayle?
If you pick something with restoring laning phase, you can actually put Kayle really far behind.
Wait, did he not play Kayle support or mention it in the in-house?
Kayle support has definitely been a thing beforehand. I know a lot of supports, even over in LCK, kind of using a little bit in solo queue.
Yeah, it was the unrated special, and when you watch the in-houses that the players play, Jesiz was jokingly saying he could play this champion, so there is the off chance that they reveal it so early just to say, you know what, it's not going mid this time.
Yeah, there is definitely a chance. You don't have to show it then, but it is also a little bit, maybe mind games, it is a flex after all, and they really want to see what G2 is picking before they show potentially mid then, and of course AD carry. Cassiopeia, I think, would be a good pick here just for early lane pressure, because if it is Kayle mid lane, it's all about 2 items. Once you hit 2 items, you're ready, and you can like 1v9 the entire game. But before you hit that point, you're not that strong.
Oh, they're finally changing up their pick and ban pattern here. Ashe or Caitlyn will go through for Zven. But he may not care at this point. He's been so comfortable on this Ezreal.
I mean, but this was a little bit what we talked about in the pick and ban phase last game, how you keep banning these AD carries and still give Zven what is considered a very high tier comfort pick for him. So I think he's kind of like laughing at your Caitlyn ban in a sense, being like, sure, you can keep banning that. We want Ashe anyway, most likely here, or we want Ezreal Karma. So like, he's getting all these picks. I don't think he cares at all about those AD carry bans.
Yeah, this is the first time Ashe has been open. Let's see if Fnatic were right in banning it out, and if Zven goes for the Ashe, or if he just goes for the, maybe even just the support pick, and caters his AD carry pick as a little bit of a counter matchup.
There it is.
No, just the Ashe. So much crowd control effects here.
It's crazy, yeah.
So, locked in, confirmed. Fnatic, now they reveal their hand. Kayle support or Kayle mid? And Rekkles, what does he play? Does he go Tristana again or Ezreal now that is available?
Yeah, the problem is all the good matchups into Ashe have been banned out by Fnatic themselves. So I don't really see the point in banning Varus Caitlyn and leaving Ashe open.
I agree 100% on that point. They clearly were respecting the Malzahar so much. To take that away has been a pick that they banned in the first phase normally. Camille coming in with Shen locked in. It kind of shows that it's going to be Camille support, Kayle mid.
Give me the Vayne, baby.
And we're just missing the AD carry.
Hyper carry Vayne.
With Camille support.
Kayle ulti, Shen ultimate, and then you realize you're still playing Vayne, you go down ADCS.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue for them. I think this draft is so risky.
It just, but there's nothing left, that's the problem. Like, just play Ezreal, I guess. But you need to snowball. Ezreal is just too slow. If you pick Ezreal here, you come into the situation where you just get pushed in all your lanes early on.
But I feel like you still do that with Tristana.
But at least you can fight your way out. If you get pushed in as an Ezreal lane, you just yield. You say, my lord, please take my turret. And it's over. These guys are going for a bot lane party with Lee Sin. That's the only way out. And then Tahm Kench is actually a really nice counter.
Well, you mentioned it, risky drop
care about your counter, Mitch.
from Fnatic. But risky, it's potentially the last game of the spring split for Fnatic. Why not go risky? That's a lie, because they'll be in the third place match. And Mithy has locked in Thresh.
So funny story about Thresh here. I was actually watching those in-houses you talked about yesterday, and Mithy on this Camille was playing against Mickey on Thresh, and he just kept
flaying every E.
Flaying every single E, every single hook shot from this Camille. What Camille needs to do is actually sit on the wall for a little bit and try and bait the flay.
Yeah, so you can get the first part where he jumps to the wall, you can flay that. You can flay the second part once he jumps off. Yes, you can wait out, but you can also flash flay a Tristana mid-jump into instant hook too. It's actually quite easy to flash flay a Tristana jump because it has such a long buffer time. Like, if it ever comes to skirmish, it's a super fun matchup. The problem is, the way G2 plays, I don't think we'll see any of those mechanics, really.
I mean, this entire game should be decided the first, like, 10 to 20 minutes, because this Kayle, if it gets ahead, if it gets a good laning phase, with a Shen ulti, a support will go to a side lane and be unstoppable but she's so weak until that point with 2 fully completed items. So G2 eSports should have a lot of control in the early game from mid and bot lane with these drafts.
Oh, timing pressure then for Fnatic. Go big or go home. Fnatic are fighting for a spot to play in Hamburg on Sunday in the Championship Series for a shot at MSI and another split title. However, if Fnatic lose, they will play on Saturday in the 3rd place for championship points and to set themselves up for Worlds. Caps on his Kayle. Pulled it out in week 10 of the EU LCS and had a phenomenal play.
I just want to add Caps on a blind pick in the 2nd phase. No one in the world
Deficio,
will do that.
It's Fnatic's animal style. They are unleashed off the chains. And let's find out if it's enough to take down G2 and force the deciding game. Game number 4, Fnatic versus G2. Timing window as we leave Pride Rock to take a look at who is Simba and who is Mufasa in this game. Too far, I know. But I went with it.
I watched that movie too.
We all cried, Trevor.
Special place for me growing up in South Africa. Reminded me a lot of home.
Yeah. Were you one of the hyenas?
I was going to say, you lived a
Absolutely
very
were.
wild
Have
style
you heard
there.
my voice? I sound exactly like those hyenas.
I was judging it off your face.
Damn.
Oh. All right. Thanks, PerkZ. You don't have to laugh at the joke either.
Alright, Broxah and Trick. I think these are the influential persons in the early games.
People.
Spell corrected by Deficio.
There you go.
That's
Mitch.
a low one for me.
Well, sometimes after a long series, I have to carry you anyway, but I accept it.
You are my Samwise.
Would be great if you
Mitch,
could...
hold on. Mitch, be humble. Sit down. Fnatic right now. Let's take a look at this laning phase, okay? Cassio, PerkZ. Gonna have a lot of fun in the early stages. Does Broxah come to try help out, or is this literally just kind of Caps? Don't lose too bad and hope we can win later.
Oh, you can definitely come.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, I didn't direct that one.
No, it's
I
really...
just like you point between us, you're like...
It was pointing at us and then the fight over who talks first. If you watch Faker play Cassio, he goes like ham on the first levels with E-spam and he goes down to 40% mana.
So you're saying PerkZ is not Faker?
PerkZ is not Faker.
Interesting flame. Not sure I can join in right there.
It's a choice. I'm not saying it's the right one. This is obviously a really rough early laning phase here. Look how G2, I think they still overpushed a tad. But they're looking to punish on level 2. They're 2 creeps away. And then they're going to poke them on the turret because neither of these guys really survive a hook very well. And that's why if you play it like this on Thresh, you stack a massive wave. And if Tristana wants to go for losses, which is really tricky on a turret, especially since she keeps screwing herself over with the E.
The classic, an old school one.
Yeah.
We never decided to help it that way. Kept it like that, but
Can't toggle.
again, when it comes to Camille support here, Jesiz picked it against Zyra in the last series, and he picked it after Zyra was already locked in. With the Thresh counter pick here from Mithy to try and use the Flay to interrupt that hook shot, it is very effective. Trick will find
He's in the brush. He finds him. He's dead.
Oh, beautiful play. Broxah's got a few seconds to survive. Repel comes up. Trick, first blood.
And we have to go back to what Mithy just did in the river. Mithy, he pushed up and walked into the river. It looked like he was warding and walked back, right? He was actually checking for Scuttle Crab to see if maybe Broxah ended up there. If Broxah wasn't doing Scuttle Crab, that means he was on the other side of the jungle, and Trick could actually reliably find him. Pretty cool synergy on both sides of the map right there.
Great communication as well from G2.
And also can explain G2's aggressive push early on to try and actually allow Mithy to leave the lane for a few seconds to go check that river. Trick is topside now. He is spotted by a ward. Also ganking for GP early on kind of sucks. He doesn't really add a whole lot to your gank this early. Mid lane though is also very key. We talked so much about the Kayle from Caps because it is such a power pick after 2 items. But it's very, very important to remember after 2 items because it is hard to get there. Your laning phase consists of a lot of just hit the minions. Just slap them left and right, push the wave, and not really look for massive skirmishes.
Yeah, definitely not. So much respect here early on from Rekkles. Gets flayed, immediately goes out. And this is the highlight reel.
So the push, Mithy walks up to check the Rift Scuttler. It is not taken. He walks back down. So there's actually 3 separate things. You know, it's pushing early game down the bot lane, maybe over pushing slightly for what you would normally look at, but then it's so he can leave and check the Rift Scuttler.
Oh, and it's so dirty.
Perfect timing.
Constantly in fog of war. Broxah does not see him coming.
Great play in game number 4 here for G2. gives them first blood. Mithy again with a very good play. Jesiz trades a couple autos back.
So there is a trick you can do in lane. Usually you wanna, the problem with Thresh is you can't hook through minions, right? So what you can do is walk up until the ranged minions, flay a target and the ranged minions at once, and in doing so, you actually place the ranged minions behind you, and then you can hook straight into the face of whoever thought he was safe behind the minions. Problem is, if you mess that up a little bit, you end up hooking a minion. But it's one of those ways to be super aggressive on Thresh and surprise your opponents with a hook flay combo.
We're gonna see Mithy though try and not use his flay too aggressively, because he knows at this point that the way back in this lane for Fnatic is a gank from Lee Sin. And flay from Thresh, not only does it work against the hook shot, it also works against, of course, Lee Sin when he jumps in. So he needs that ability ready. And if he goes all in with it aggressively, there's actually an opening for Fnatic to gank.
Well, talking about openings to gank, look at Trick's first build. Dark Seal and Moby Boots after that first blood and first clear. Going to be an absolute menace and terror across the map. If you can land those cocoons a little more accurately than we saw in the previous game.
It's actually a sign of big respect that you cocoon in the way that Trick did there, because most mid laners juke in. So you actually respect Caps to be on 2 tiers ahead of you by walking straight.
So what you saw here from Broxah, if we go down to him, he actually pathed into the Dragon Pit. It walked around now here, so he's on the other side where there's another blast gun he can take into the brush to make sure and no River Ward could actually spot him from Mithy and Zven. But now Mithy's flay.
Not available yet. Stand United being channeled down. Taunt up under the tower. It's a party in the bottom lane. And Fnatic get the snacks.
Very important here. Expect. Didn't want to use TP back to lane, knowing that he might need it to join a Shen on the bottom side. He's actually down slightly in experience, meaning there was no ulti from him to help. Probably wouldn't have done a whole lot in this situation, but this is what you can always do with Shen.
But in the end, what is truly lost here, except some breathing room, Zven is still getting the CS under the turret. Trick is covering. Expect will hit level 6, and now with the TP and the ultimate down, Fnatic may actually want to swap. Perhaps, because otherwise Expect can actually go and either TP or ultimate in the bottom lane.
It is very hard though to swap against Gangplank.
Yeah, that's true.
Due to his ulti, always being able to kind of clear out the entire wave when someone gets to the tower.
So regardless if they swap or not, they should get punished for using so much in such a short time frame without really getting a big yield.
Here we saw an AD carry by items. Caps got
turn too slow.
Great stun from PerkZ. Caps not able to dodge just yet. Holds on to his flash. Look at Jesiz sitting in the Raptor camp. I'm looking if G2 want to go for some sort of invade. Divine intervention there. Caps, almost taken down by that cannon barrage.
It's going to be mid lane tower taking a lot of damage now. This is what we talk about again with how weak Kayle is early. A problem also with Caps getting stunned by PerkZ. So he has to use TP back to lane and needs to just maximize farm. All he cares about right now.
All right, we're 7.5 minutes in. Fnatic did not try any weird and wonderful shenanigans in the early game. Straight up laning, didn't go for an early lane swap. Despite having struggles in that bottom lane and even giving up first blood for Broxah, Fnatic turned around with a good party at least once.
Yeah, at least once. And once this lane hits level 6, it's obviously much more potent against an Ashe. You can just have Camille jump on the Ashe, block the arrow from melee range, and then allow Rekkles to jump in, pop E, get 5 stacks, and that will refresh his jump. So he can always match it against another flash distance. So on both level 6, it's really imperative that Zven always plays behind Mithy, and Mithy tries to flay the jump from Rekkles.
It is fun to see though Fnatic now, after they lost 2 games, kind of change up a lot of what they were doing successfully the last 2 weeks. I think what they realized is that G2, because the style will often let games go to like 35, 40 minutes. So with Tristana, with Kayle, they have a lot of scaling on their side now. Even Camille supporting the late game, where you can single out that one target, can be extremely effective. So it feels like the Fnatic who needed to snowball early game, always to win. It's not the Fnatic we see on stage right now. We see actually teams saying, let's change it. Let's go late game, because G2 will go late game, and then maybe we can outscale them and outplay them then.
Yeah, and G2 also stole one of these really early game strong junglers in Elise with a build that is all catered around snowballing early, but that will then also fall off a little bit later. Lee Sin does scale, in my opinion, slightly better for late game engages than an Elise does, especially this Moby Darkseal one.
Broxah has shown multiple times the split. He's got the mechanics to make those plays happen. Actually quite famously turning away from Cassio ultimates earlier in the splits.
And Mithy right now is sitting on Boots Ruby. He based on like 750 gold, which means they only have trinkets, and they usually always place it towards the river. If Rekkles and Jesiz lean left, it allows for Broxah to actually connect the Q in the brush, and Jesiz still has that ultimate available.
Hextech ultimatum. Broxah's got flash kick available. If Mithy and Zven just overextend at all. Broxah hasn't found an opportunity yet.
So much respect. They just assume the rush was warded, but
I think just they know that there's really only one lane to gank. Like, ganking GP at this point with the Shen is fairly difficult for Fnatic unless they send multiple members. And ganking for Kayle in mid lane, as we talked about earlier, is very hard as well. There's no CC setup for you.
Oh, threading the needle. Mithy finds the death sentence. Cannon barrage, not going to be enough to pick up a kill yet. Jesiz was caught out by the enchanted crystal arrow, and the long-range hook shot gets him to safety.
I feel like I'm being a really negative Nancy here, but Mithy played very early. Could have kept auto-attacking plus popped your lantern. You can always cancel any of the dashes.
Negative Nancy's gonna be a sad. Mithy gonna flay Jesiz away, but he's locked inside the ultimatum. Rekkles has got one. Here comes Trick. Rekkles leaps over the wall, flashes back in for the fight. Now he's looking for Trick, who's repelled up, trying to get away. Rekkles, no flash available. Not gonna be able to find another.
Oh, PerkZ is on the way as well. We can talk about that little play from Fnatic after.
PerkZ, flash petrifying gaze is available. Broxah, gonna be a sacrifice here. Didn't want to run the risk of getting caught under the tower.
Due to PerkZ controlling the mid lane, he can roam first and join here. So in the end, end up trading kills on both sides. No ulti from Expect, obviously, because it was used in that earlier trade.
Yeah, no teleport for Caps either, because he used it, then he goes all the way back to the first Shen ulti. The way that evolved is Caps also teleport, but what's really important here, like, I like that Fnatic is willing to go aggressive, but there's a communication error here. Look at Rekkles in this fight, jumps in, gets under pressure, goes for the reset out because he's scared of Trick. Instead of going into the lane, he goes over the wall and then flashes back in because he doesn't expect the Shen ulti.
So the hard thing here is the fact that he was actually standing next to Jesiz, and there's a high chance sOAZ was maybe calling that he was actually ulting on the Camille. Because they're right next to each other. If he's just clicking down in the fight, and Camille was the one who got hit by the stun from Elise, so Rekkles maybe didn't expect it to actually hit him. Interesting enough, though, I like that flash from Jesiz because we talked so much about the flay on the hookshot. He knew that could happen, so he just flashes in with the second part of hookshot, and therefore he stuns Mithy instantly and locks him down.
Optimistic, I feel, from PerkZ.
It's in these patterns where people are stepping back and forth, you can really surprise them. If that hits, that's a genius play. If it misses, yeah, then it's a bit of a funk.
What I like, though, is it also now adds that element of doubt, right? Next time Caps has to sit under tower, if PerkZ is willing to throw that one out. I'm looking down the CS lists. There's no real advantages yet. G2 with the kill advantage and small numbers. They've got themselves about 1,000 gold lead.
Caps has teleport very, very soon. And he could definitely surprise his bottom lane in some of these deep wards.
Instead, he's going to jump into a fight right now.
It's just a scary thing, because like it looks good for G2 at the moment. They're winning the early game. Fnatic is playing this more late game style all of a sudden. We have to see if they can even play that later on. But at the same time, that one little play where Caps gets 1 or 2 kills, and this game is just wide open, and he might actually be able to carry. So it is a super tricky situation for them, but it's knocked down to the bottom lane. We'll find 2 wards.
Look at all of these wards. 1, 2, I can count 5 on one screen already.
Yeah, but there's one in between, and it's almost expiring. That's the sad part about it. If that ward was just a little bit longer.
It's just because you have a game where the top lane is not interesting to gank, because both of them have globals they want to use on the other side of the map. You then have a bot lane with a Tristana and Camille combo, which is an all-in combo, and then you have the Ashe arrow on the other side. So all focus on the bottom lane. That's why you have all the wards down there. That's why everyone is looking at it.
PerkZ going under the tower. Caps has enough mana for his ultimate.
They changed it. Isn't it no mana right now?
I believe so. Checking. No cost.
No cost, yeah. That's one of the quality of life changes they did to Kayle, because she goes low on mana and you think, yeah, I got him. He can't ulti now. Turns out it's free.
There is often a rule, you run TP mid lane, that the first teleport you're allowed to use to your lane. Now the second teleport you need to save, because you need to use it to kind of have some impact on the map. But when you're playing the Kayle, it is okay to just keep using TP back to lane, because you need farm, baby.
Broxah sidesteps a petrifying gaze. So again, that'll just give a little bit of breathing room to Caps again at that mid lane.
It means he can actually aggressively start pushing forward, instead of having to always be wary of a potential ulti. Because even if you kind of sidestep or turn around from the ulti, if it still slows you, it's enough for Trick to get close for Cocoon, of course.
And now the build, in case people haven't seen Kayle made a whole lot, Nashus into Rage Blade is what we're looking for. The fully completed Rage Blade combined with Fervor of Battle means that when he's sitting there and hitting away, he stacks them up really quickly, both of them, and he starts getting so much on-hit damage. Combine them with the Nash's Tooth damage as well, and the Rage Blade. It's really hard to deal with in these prolonged fights. Obviously, Fnatic are not running a ton of shields, so the way for Caps to stay alive, if he is in a fight, is his own ulti. It's very important, but he becomes a very strong split pusher as well.
That's going to be very useful for Fnatic. He talked about item builds. If you look at the minimap, first item spikes basically picked up across the board here. Blade of the Ruined King, Nash's Tooth, Zven almost going to finish his Blade of the Ruined King, Rod of Ages for PerkZ.
Yeah, Broxah, he's sneaking this dragon pick. Fnatic, they went on a mission to sweep Vision in the brush, but they forgot one control ward.
Ooh, this is good. This is good.
It's a good roam here.
So important.
Under the
Big dive
tower.
here,
Expect's got a big mini wave in front of him. Cannon Barrage to try and clear this one out. Flashes away. Dragon's picked up by Fnatic, and Trick has been able to buy some time. Rather, Expect bought some time. Repel comes up in the air. Intervention's available. Caps decides he wants to squash a little spider. Itsy bitsy spider goes down. PerkZ is now the target. Caps has still got intervention available to buy some additional time. Holding on to it for now, waiting for one more Twin Fang.
Now we gotta look bot lane very soon. sOAZ is going back here. He has ulti ready on the Shen, and there are 3 guys bottom lane chasing.
Caps decides to turn around, gets a couple of swipes on that Righteous Fury. There's fights.
There's too many things bot lane.
There's too many things happening because Broxah got one onto Mithy, and there's a follow-up as Rekkles gets a kill onto Zven. Expect decides to teleport under. Here comes Rekkles. Summon a heal. Expect. Oh, that's a double kill for Rekkles.
And this is actually huge. This is all on the back of how good Caps is on Kayle. He bought so much time. It looked like him and sOAZ were just getting collapsed on. sOAZ joined this fight. He never died.
I really like that play, yes, from sOAZ specifically. Leave Caps to die. Step away so you can join the bottom lane, but at the same time also Fnatic knowing, hey, there are 3 G2 guys on the top side. Broxah come bot lane instantly. They reacted with the cross map so fast, and G2's bottom lane didn't get to leave in time.
Hold up! What's that coming over the hill? Is that a Broxah? Kicks him into sOAZ, petrifying stun. Manages to lock down sOAZ, but Mithy is here for support.
It's a PerkZ.
sOAZ goes down. There was no damage to back up Broxah.
Yeah, buying into their own hype here. Fnatic, which team goes for a 2-man roam top while soloing Dragon and then playing aggressive on the bot side? They're playing aggressive on all fronts. Again, look at how Caps punishes Trick. The second he uses the repel, it's over. Squashes the spider. sOAZ then pass to the bottom lane, and Caps, he's just showing this kill pick. Fnatic is surprising Z2. They're not used to so much damage.
They're definitely not, but also bot lane as well. You can see how Broxah is already ready. At this point here, you know on the side of Fnatic there's 3 guys from G2 top lane. TP from Expect. You don't care about Gangplank TP. That is not a good teleport to use because GP is such a weak fighter at this point. Just brings his ulti. Mithy staying actually under this tower. Zven joining the fight as well. Oh, he misclicked the lantern.
He accidentally clicked on it.
That was not on purpose. He just misclicked the lantern. Mithy should have just backed away way before, and of course, that lantern.
And Rekkles healed
It's a
sOAZ too. Like, that was a really good save there.
Oh, that cost them so much.
As we jump out of the replay, G2 are still ahead 2,000 gold. They managed to get 2 towers to the single that Fnatic was able to pick. Jesiz throws down the ultimatum because Broxah's here to help out. The powder keg is going to get popped. Jesiz takes some damage, but it's Broxah that gets his 3rd kill of the game. 3-2-2. Trick flashed for the cocoon and didn't find it.
4v3 on the top side and 1v2 on the bottom side, but it's so easy for Shen to hold. Ashe isn't ramped up enough to really punish the Shen pick, and at least sOAZ can buy a lot of time.
That's what he's doing right now. You have to look at the carries for Fnatic.
He's got the wave. That's really important because it means G2 is much slower on this 2nd tier push because a few minions is enough if Rekkles joins. He was doing perks for some reason, I guess maximizing. And this is the power of Tristana. Demolitionist takes down these turrets in a jiffy.
Is this where Fnatic fans start to believe again? Fnatic in a head-to-head game, standard lanes, even with losing lanes, doing so well even as we get to 20 minutes.
Because this other late game threat on the side of Fnatic, the Tristana is now sitting on 3 kills, 3 assists, 2 fully completed items at 18 minutes into the game. This is huge for Rekkles as a carry, and it's no longer just about Caps and this Kayle here. And it all comes down to those placed like a minute or 2 ago, where suddenly the top lane ends up hurting G2 so much because they misclick the lantern and Mithy overstays.
Bad movement. And Caps has the great movement. Like, people, pro players joke about this. This guy has insane movement when he jukes a skill shot or something, but this guy has actually been so cognizant of when to use flash, when to use ulti. You can really see what he's doing. He's playing so smart, but he's executing it every single time. A lot of players would wish they could wait until they see a projectile flying at their face and then press Kayle ulti. most of the time they die before they realize, probably should have used that, you know? This guy, he's so smart when it comes to low HP, clutch moves. And I think that is great for Fnatic's future, if they can nurture Caps as a player more.
I think it's also crucial to note, Caps and Rekkles and Broxah doing so well. On the side of G2, PerkZ 2-0 on that Cassio, plus 40 CS, and now G2 will get themselves their 4th tower of the game, still in a great position.
And now we're going to get another trade situation where Fnatic already going for the tower in the bottom lane, and G2 want to get the tower on top. And this is where Gangplank is really good with his ulti to try and clear out these waves here.
Tristana's also not there. They're pushing without their key member. They're still going to get the turret because sOAZ can tank. But they're also losing ashe control. They have to get back there soon, Fnatic, if they want to stop G2, because this is a GP on the Baron 2, much better than the traditional tank.
Cassiopeia in here as well. They're very strong 2-0-1, burning it down. It's going down so quickly.
Caps gets caught up by the Ashe arrow. The death sentence stands united is the target, but G2 have got Baron. That 20 minutes and 30 seconds. Rekkles and the rest of Fnatic want to clean up. Rekkles is going to leap into the pit. Locked the ultimatum. Send Sven packing. It's a double kill for Rekkles. He's going to once again rocket jump over the wall. Expect sidesteps at least the Sonic wave. Fnatic 5-on-3 for 30 seconds.
Really good Baron call over from G2 at first, but I wonder if they could just have bursted it down instead of turning a little bit for Caps and then use the flashes over the wall to get out with as many members as possible. Fnatic gets a tower.
Jesiz goes in with a hook shot, saved for a moment or two before the Twin Fang takes him out. Caps, his intervention is on cooldown. Expectors chasing with the parlay. In goes Broxah. Dragon's Rage kick. PerkZ lanterns out to safety. This is 4-on-3. Rekkles is looking for more. He's got the game. He's shut down. Expect kills the People's Champion Rekkles. Now Fnatic are looking at the tower. G2, they've held on for a few long minutes.
Oh, such a close fight again now. This game is fantastic. So many small things happening left and right. Rekkles one shot away from taking down PerkZ. But before that, PerkZ playing such a good fight. There's more, Trevor. Keep yelling.
sOAZ, he's in trouble. Loud noises. Broxah gets caught up by the death sentence. Intervention buys a few seconds of time. He can't connect to the Sonic wave. Flash, slap. Caps takes one down. Now he's dropped. This Sven's got a double kill in reply. It's a 2,000 gold lead for G2. They've still got Baron, and now they want Infernal.
Ooh, we need to wait for the highlight reel to see just how many nice side flashes there were. There was Rekkles going in, completely shifting attention. There was Broxah with the kick flash, hesitated for a second, but then found PerkZ. PerkZ also flashed onto the lantern. But it all started with this.
So here I wonder if G2 could just purely burst down this Baron and then try and flash out with as many members, because Mithy can even lantern out, trick if needed. But they actually turned, so they wasted a bit of time there. This now means that Fnatic can actually come in here and stop them and get a few kills. Stop them from recall. Look at PerkZ here. Look at PerkZ in this fight, and look at his flash. Moving in and out, he's 1v5 at this point. He knows Broxah will Q flash him, so he's actually flashing at the same time. Wait for the Elise, and there you go. He flashes at the same time, doesn't get knocked back as far, and that's where the lantern is then in position to save
it. Was right next to him, and then Rekkles, he goes for, honestly, the genius play. If that hit goes on PerkZ can't return damage. Rekkles gets a double kill, leap, triple kill turret, plus inhib. It was one auto attack away from honestly just making a massive play there. That has to feel so bad for Rekkles right there.
And then right after, another really good quick lantern from Mithy gets PerkZ to safety. So many players in these fights just made so many good mechanical plays on both sides that are worth celebrating. It's almost like we should talk about some other players.
Yeah, well, we'll get a chance to do that later, gentlemen, because G2, they've got 5 towers down now. Fnatic 5 of their own. But look at the kill scores. 5-1-4 for Rekkles, 3-0-3 for PerkZ. Sven, 3-2-1. Every single player is getting involved. You can see the G2 support staff. That's how it feels, Ocelot.
Well, he's still 2-1 up. Fnatic has to be feeling worse. Sven getting cornered, or sOAZ getting cornered. You can decide that soon.
Wait, is this sOAZ overextending a little bit?
Let's see how Houdini escapes.
Cannon Barrage may end this desire. Ashe Arrow was used by Sven.
Stuck in the tank.
Nothing you can do with it. Caps this time round.
I always say, when you look at Kayle, you gotta look at 2 items.
Okay. And?
No, I don't know, like that's all I heard.
Ooh, he's actually wearing Storm Raiders in this game and not the Fervor that we see often from Kayle. Interesting choice. Obviously, it's very easy to proc it and get their movement speed. Does reduce his damage a little bit when it comes to the late game. It's still enough.
It actually explains why in the jungle, when he was being chased by PerkZ, he would randomly turn around for some damage to proc the Storm Raiders and escape much faster.
But production was baiting us, not showing any keystones for like 20 minutes.
Well, they showed it in the end. We've got the information out there, and you talked about reduced damage as far as the keystone is concerned. What about Rekkles at 5-1 and 4? Once again, going towards his frozen mallets, even when he's so fed.
I mean,
should that be a bit more traditional?
PerkZ walked out of range. If he would have only had a frozen mallet to slow him, he would have gotten that last auto attack in.
Would have gotten it. Also, we got more HP and wouldn't have died, you know, when they actually caught him there. It is a Rekkles special that I don't see from a lot of other AD carries right now, where it is more focused on getting the HP than just straight up damage.
Yeah, but if you compare it to Zven, if Zven is unleashed in the fight and protected well, he will eventually take over.
Yeah, I just want to talk real quick about the Black Cleaver on Ashe. The idea behind it is when you use your ranger's focus to Q, you actually instantly, with the Hurricane, can get 5 stacks of the Black Cleaver on 3 targets. Because Black Cleaver is not based on pure on hit, it's just based on dealing physical damage. And you get like so many shots down at the same time with the ranger's focus that you instantly apply the stack. So when you play Ashe with multiple physical damage dealers, like a Gangplank in this game here, it actually buffs them off as well. And then it's really good. If there's no other physical damage dealers, go Infinity Edge.
And Gangplank obviously benefits greatly from that armor reduction. He still has it built in the powder cake too. Not as brutal as it used to be, so he will have to build Blaster Spear eventually.
Trick decides to rappel up under the tower as Sven puts a lot of damage down. Caps is going to be supporting the rest of Fnatic as they make their way up.
sOAZ is in base, so they're definitely looking for a reactionary play to hard engage. They can put the Shen ulti on Broxah, on Jesiz, or even on Rekkles if he wants to jump in. So Fnatic have a ton of possibilities and a few heavy-hitting champions.
And we talked so much about how Fnatic were investing into the late game all of a sudden. They were changing the style up, and now it's, you know, Tristana, Kayle, these champions. It's not like G2's late game is weak by any means. Like, they have Ashe, Cassiopeia, GP, like all very, very strong late game carries at the same time. So it's going to be that pure skill matchup.
And if we can just take a look at the team's gold, or the player's gold rather, expect with 250 CS, 5 towers to his name, and the GP passive, is currently 3,000 gold up over sOAZ.
I don't believe it until I see it.
Well, hopefully the observers will toggle that gold value in just a moment or two. There we go. 9,000
actually 3k ahead.
So glad I've got you here to help me out.
Jesiz is going in, looking for PerkZ. Ultis, he can't get out there. Lantern will not work. Rekkles needs to be careful, though.
A lot of damage going down onto Jesiz. That's a very good Lantern. Death Sentence goes out. sOAZ is on the front line. Defensive flash from Broxah. Expect takes a lot of hits from that Righteous Fury. Jesiz still doing battle with PerkZ. Petrifying Gaze was already used, and where is the intervention? Caps sends it on himself. Is swinging for days before he's sent to the fountain. Now sOAZ is the target. A flash forward from PerkZ and the rest of G2 as the Twin Fang is doing work.
That was a great idea from Fnatic. Engagement Zven is not there. Again, be early on the trigger. But the problem is they didn't get enough damage and CC down onto PerkZ until the effect wore off. And then Lantern from Mithy was so crucial.
Broxah is trying again. He's behind them.
But they know.
They do know. They see him. Okay, he's dead.
Yeah, Broxah's going to get taken down. Very good play here from Mithy. Broxah survives with a Sonic Wave. Smites for some HP and makes it out alive.
Another thing, once we get the replay of that fight, to remember is Camille can jump extremely far with a hook shot. She's not bringing anyone with her. Like, she jumps in. You can see how the rest of Fnatic are still really far behind.
Shen ulti is very late, though, because if she jumps in, she can bring Shen, and then the taunt can buy enough time for Rekkles and Caps to get there. So this is, yeah, just a minor error in execution in honestly what is a rapidly changing environment, so it's definitely understandable, but it may cost Fnatic the game and their chance at playing the finals in Hamburg.
And now it gets very hard also for Kayle, because you're not really based on burst, you're based on getting these multiple hits down. But in an open fight, when your front line is already out of the fight, as we see here with sOAZ on the Shen, you don't really have anyone protecting you. And yes, your own ulti works, just for a few seconds, and then you will die very quickly. So Caps relies a lot on Broxah, Jesiz, sOAZ in front of him. But when they jump in one by one and then jump out one by one, then Caps is left alone.
Well, as it stands, Fnatic are left defending their base. Sven with a big respect flash to get out of dodge. Jesiz gets caught up by the Ashe arrow after using the ultimatum. But the cannon barrage and the G2 support, they've already taken the tower.
Yeah, exactly here. G2 eSports, they know whenever Jesiz jumps in, the rest of Fnatic can't follow in time. Rekkles, Caps, they just were not in position to follow. And that means they can just quickly kill the Camille and then take down the tower.
Turning their attention to the mid inhibitor, G2. with a monumental lead in Game 4.
They're about to do it again. 3 splits, 3 finals is what's on the line here for the G2 organization in such a consistent fashion. No highlight reel moments to really bring back. It's like, oh, this was the play, but always just calculated and calm. But Fnatic did put them to the test this series, and they showed that, honestly, with some fire, some passion, you can catch them off guard.
Some passion.
Some passion.
I mean, Fnatic brought a lot of passion for the last 3 weeks. It was, you know, there was anticipation at how well Fnatic would play this series. They've got themselves a gigantic hole to play back from. And look at Jesiz. Just
Yeah, it's only really Rekkles who gets him with like 1 or 2 autos, and then he can't follow up with anything. Caps was still running over there, and sOAZ wasn't available to fight.
And they also have a comp that kites so well. Cassiopeia, Ashe, and GP, you do not want to blindly run forward into these picks unless they're crowd controlled.
all right, Rekkles fancies his chances. Yeah, he's got that frozen
Reset.
mallet. Look at the slow, taking a lot of damage in melee range of Expect. Super minions coming to help out. Finally, Expect goes down. Jesiz decides to hookshot. Look at the minimap. G2 say, we don't care about the fight. They want the base. Third inhibitor will be the target, which means Fnatic somehow have to defend against double super minions.
Sacrifice Expect, a classic G2 strategy. It worked for them here when it comes to getting that in here.
Petrifying Gaze doesn't stun anybody out. Broxah's looking for a target, and PerkZ will be the man. He's got no stun. That's a shutdown. 58-second death timer, but the only objective is deep inside G2 territory. Now Mithy goes down. sOAZ decides to teleport for this. That'll be another very big death timer. How much can Fnatic take?
Well, they can take a lot of minions because they have super minions everywhere. So this is a pause for Fnatic where they get to just farm 3 lanes. They get to get further towards a full late game.
They've done this in the past, but they have the victor. That's the problem.
And they didn't play G2.
And they didn't play G2.
That was another problem.
Yeah. Well, they did play the strongest late game surging team, no?
They didn't, they lost.
Well, Fnatic definitely have to find some sort of miracle, some sort of Nexus play. Earlier I talked about sort of the legacy, you know, Fnatic five-time LCS champions, G2 2 times. Now Fnatic need to somehow channel their legacy Nexus defense and Nexus styles to pull back a miracle.
And I know a lot of fans obviously want to see Fnatic make the final, cheering for them, and this like fantastic streak they were on coming into the quarterfinals. But at the same time, I also think if they end up losing this game, we have to just take a step back and say that is actually very acceptable still for Fnatic. This was a team that was 1 game away from not even making playoffs.
Yep. Remarkable growth here.
It's fantastic to see how much they actually changed once they made a few changes within like the team. And the
mentality, I think.
Mentality and their play style, the picks they were using. So from like week 9 until now, the growth has been fantastic, and it's really positive signs for when it comes into summer split.
And even if Fnatic fall here, hang on, Mithy under siege.
Rekkles is able to at least buffer that rocket jump. sOAZ is able to flash away from the death sentence. Here comes Expect over the wall. sOAZ is forced to run through the cannon barrage, and that means Fnatic 50 seconds in a 5v4. Trick may actually go down here. Jesiz and Caps find him. So 4-on-4 base defense for Fnatic.
Why was Trick up there? Anyway, it doesn't matter. G2 are pushing in with super minions. They want to see if they can get down at least 1 turret.
Petrifying Gaze is available for PerkZ. Fnatic cannot afford to get caught. Take a look at those powder kicks bouncing across. Redemption coming down as Jesiz does not have ultimatum available. He used it to pick up the kill onto Trick. Super minions, 1, 2, 3 of them onside the Nexus. PerkZ! 3-man stun! PerkZ may have just won the game for Fnatic. Keep your eyes on Rekkles. He needs to pull off a miracle. The captain, the caller, he can't do it. G2 eSports, they stop Fnatic in their tracks and advance to their 3rd split finals.
The adaptation from G2 eSports this series shows why they're so hard to beat in Europe, shows why they're good in these best of series that they sadly don't actually get to play that often because they're often slotted into the semi-final. And
yeah, all their international failures have been in
best of ones.
Best of ones. Well, technically, a spread out best of 1, best of 2 scenario where they can't adapt too much. But they show that they've learned. Trick in Game 2 was a great example of adapting his style, even further enhancing into a ganking style early with Elise.
They got to feel again how it was playing against Fnatic with the communication, what you had to kind of get ready for.
The signature Rekkles sOAZ synergy ganks. Expect masterfully dodge them, dance around them, bought so much time in every single game later on.
This was still a series for me as well where I felt like so many players got to shine individually. Like even this last game here, Rekkles ended up 7-1-4 on this Tristana.
Yes.
Tried his hardest to carry Fnatic. And it was really fun to see like all these good players face off against each other.
What I like about the series as well, it shows that Fnatic and their style can be good.
Yes.
But when they come up against a team with a deeper arsenal, with more tools available and options to tweak, then Fnatic, they struggled as the series plays out.
But it makes the remainder of playoffs even more exciting because Fnatic, they talked about the unleashed animal style that they learned in scrims from which team? The Unicorns.
Fear our horns.
Fear their horns, and they're on the other side of the bracket. And imagine if they make it to the finals, they see that their style works against J2. This kind of rash aggression, switch it up, don't always play too meta game, and it could be another good clash of styles.
Could extremely be, and especially for a team like UOL, who's just been on such an upswing.
Yeah.
Really,
Well, they gotta
really
win tomorrow
impressive.
first.
Of course
Of
they
course,
do. And of
hypothetically.
course, we too, they will appear Championship Sunday in the EU LCS Spring Split. Fnatic will once again play in a third place battle. Last split, they didn't make it that far.
But they get
Last
to go to
spring,
the
they
events,
did.
and that's so important for these players, especially if you want to grow. Like, yes, it sucks not losing the final, but they get to have a taste of what it's like.
It's a completely new roster, you know, this is your first split. You play against a team that didn't make any changes on the Rift, a team who obviously added more coaches, added more infrastructure, and a team that almost went completely undefeated through this entire EU LCS. So G2 came in as favorites, and they showed why.
Yeah, and of course, if you do want to see Fnatic on Saturday or G2 on Sunday, there are still tickets available. Head over to eu.lolesports.com. You can come see. We know at least 2 of the participants. It'll either be UOL or Misfits facing both of the respective squads.
Yeah, because a lot of these players, they say, you know what, if I'm not first, I don't care if I'm second, third, or fourth. But they still say second, third, or fourth, because the feeling you get from getting on that stage and knowing what it's like to play an arena event and then potentially even seeing this other team lift a trophy, that is what fuels your passion for the next split entirely, to try just a little bit harder, communicate it a little bit better, so that you're the team on stage fighting for that trophy.
Talking about the teams that were on stage today, player of the series, a lot of great performances from everybody.
Yeah.
When it comes to the vote, it was PerkZ that was the victor of player of the series and had some great performances. His Echo from earlier in the series, his Cassio as well.
Yeah, it's one of the things we talked about during the series, how this guy received so much hate from some of their problems and failures of G2 last year. But then this split, really grown so much as a person, but also as a player, and just become like so consistent. Early game, mid game, late game, like there's no part of the game anymore where you can say PerkZ is looking shaky or weak.
And the community wanted the bad boy, they got one, and
then they didn't want the bad boy.
then they
because
didn't
win.
want the bad boy anymore, because as long as it wins, it's fine if he's a bad boy. So like this guy had to kind of like stay shut for a while, but he is so consistent right now, and it's nice to see a player go up, take a hit, and then go back up again, because that marks that he's here to stay. Because you have like players that are good for maybe a few weeks or a few months, they peak and then they retire and they become a caster or something, right? Like it's not what you want. You want people that can stay around at a high level.
So you retired in your peak? Because I saw you before you retired.
No,
He had a very low peak. He had a very low
It takes
peak.
a few people a long time to realize that there is no second peak.
No, we all realized. We knew you were heading down.
Let's focus on PerkZ.
Okay, PerkZ, great player.
It's a great player, great series. I think, again, it's one of those ones where both teams walk with their heads held high. It was going to be a long shot, right? Fnatic were the underdogs. And unfortunately, G2, the superior team, they once again make their third split final.
It's why it's so good Fnatic won the first game, because it really just like ignited the entire series, and it was like, oh, can Fnatic do it? The style is working all of a sudden.
I believed in game 4, even when they were starting to make these cross-map plays.
Got the kills
the
bot
Caps
lane.
escape right there on the teleport.
Mithy baiting his AD carry with the lantern.
Unlucky.
It all
It's
happened.
his fault, entirely Mithy's fault, and glad you talked about that, because over in LA, the first NALCS semifinal is about to get underway between Phoenix One and Cloud9. Be sure to check it out. But here in Berlin, we're going to check in with Pyro, who's sitting down with Mithy, who baited Sven with that lantern.